Your name came up last or a couple weeks ago when I had Trent Dilfer on talking about Tom Brady and how he will look in the Bruce Arians offense or how the two of them will work together. And he's like, who would talk very well on this front about it would be Carson Palmer. So now here you are. How do you feel the Arians-Brady marriage will go, Carson?
Well, I think it's going to be great. I mean, Bruce is, he's a very difficult guy to play for. He has very, very high expectations. He doesn't put up with a lot of nonsense, but he treats his vets like adults and like vets, and he treats the young guys like young guys. And obviously Brady coming there and having the experience he has, I see him running and them running a lot of what Bruce's offense has been for a number of years. But I also see Tom coming in and going, look, I need my 30 pass plays that I absolutely love. We can reterm them and put them in your language so they fit in the Bruce Arians offense. But I would almost be positive, and I don't know this for a fact, but Tom's coming in and really running the bread and butter of what he's been running for the past 20 years. I mean, there are very few quarterbacks that get to play really in the same system their entire careers. And for 20 years in New England, first it was Charlie Weiss and Bill O'Brien and then Josh McDaniels, but really that was Brady's offense. If you go back and look at the years, they're running the same concept year after year after year. And, it goes from, Wes Welker into Julian Edelman and then just continues to evolve into different players. But really it's the bread and butters of what he's been running for the last 20 years. So I would assume that Tom's going into New England with his top 30, 40 pass plays and really kind of building what Bruce's offense doesn't have or isn't, doesn't have similar plays to what Brady's been running for so long, and then building upon that. So I think at the end of the day, it's a really good mixture of those two guys' offenses.
Carson, you started your answer with two statements that normally would be contradictory. You said it's going to go great, and then you said Arians is difficult to play for. Normally that sounds like that would be a bad mix. What makes him so difficult to play for that actually is great for a quarterback, Carson?
Well, that sounds a lot like Bill Belichick, doesn't it? I mean, really, really great to play for, but really, really difficult and very demanding and very high expectations. It'd be one thing to be a first-year quarterback and a rookie quarterback under Bruce. So it would be a long, long season. But being Tom and having his accomplishments and his 20-plus years of experience, I think Bruce is going to treat him really, really well and treat him like a vet. But I think Tom is used to a certain standard, and Bruce demands that same kind of standard that I think Belichick does in New England. So I think that mesh is going to be really well. It's not going to be that far off as far as how difficult practice is going to be, how intense meetings are going to be, how you really have to be on top of your game, whether you're sitting in the classroom and Bruce is up in front of the group, or you're out there on the practice field, or you're on the sidelines in game day. He is always on it. He is very strict. You cannot, if you're a young receiver and you line up in the wrong spot, more than one time, it's probably going to be a couple of days till you get another rep on the practice field. He does not put up with nonsense and not knowing your stuff, and that's a lot of what we hear out of Bill Belichick in New England is he's difficult to play for. He's very demanding. So, I don't think it's too big of a transition for Brady. He's not going to a very loosey-goose environment with a lot of pump-up speeches and some of the stuff you hear out of different teams in the league. He's going to kind of a similar guy. He expects you to be on your P's and Q's. He expects you to have already watched your opponent coming in to the next week and know the defenses you're playing and know the personnel. I mean, he is not easy to play for. But as long as you take care of your business, you play to his standard and the standard you set for yourself, and you come into a game week knowing your opponent and knowing what blitzes come up on third down and what to expect in the red zone. As long as you stay on top of your game, Bruce is great to play for.
So what's the most difficult, this begs the follow-up, Carson Palmer, what's the most difficult memory or the most difficult Arians was to you that leaps out from your memory? Give me the most difficult moment you had with Bruce.
There was one every day.
Okay.
Nonstop. He doesn't let you get away with anything. I mean, his point is this is the National Football League. Guys aren't running around wide open. You have to make guys open and throw guys open and use your eyes to open up, receivers and tight ends and running backs out of the backfield. But he's just always on, and he's great. He's great to have a beer with and play golf with. But when you're at the facility, you better be on your game, and you better know if he asks you a question, you better know the answer, or else you're going to hear about it, and you're going to hear about it, and so is everybody else on that team, because he's going to say it loud enough that everybody hears him. Making sure you know your stuff, and from everything we all know about Tom is he shows up ready to work. He shows up prepared. So I just think that mesh is going to be really, really natural and easy for the two of them.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.